Joe, welcome, and we appreciate you being on. And tell us a little bit, or your feelings about the SEC tournament.
Well, there were some disappointments in the tournament, I have to be honest, because we had a number of teams that needed to play well in the tournament to get into the NCAA, and they just didn't do it. I mean, LSU started out as the very disappointing. Florida got beat early. Georgia was the other team that maybe had an outside shot. So from that standpoint, as a conference, those of us who love the conference and want to see it do well, I think overall it was disappointing. Now, with that said, the championship game was one of the best I've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Texas A&M, golly Moses, they played their tails off and had chances and just battled. And, I tell you, that's a tough environment. It's not like playing in Rough Arena. It's worse because those fans. It is. I mean, Barry, you were there. Those fans are crazy. I mean, they're not your Rough Arena season ticket holders. They're your, all over the state that can't get Rough Arena tickets. So they come to the SEC and they just get into it, and it creates an unbelievable home court for the Kentucky team. And I thought A&M really handled it well. They got a veteran team with a bunch of seniors who played great.
Yeah, I want to talk to you a little bit about that as far as the crowds. I've gone to the SEC tournament just about every year. I don't think I've ever seen it to where, none of the other teams' fans traveled at all. Like, I was very disappointed in Texas A&M. I mean, they got a lot of money in Texas. That team was a really good basketball team. I didn't think they had very many people there. The other schools don't seem to travel. Kentucky took over that whole arena when they played. To me, it's got to get to where these other fan bases follow these teams. Maybe they just don't feel like they don't have a chance to win, and they're down about the season. I don't know what it is, but I want to get your take on that. Have you ever seen it as lopsided as it was this year as far as the fan travel?
Well, it's pretty much like that every year, Barry, really. And like you say, there really isn't another fan base that follows basketball like Kentucky, obviously. I mean, I think early in the 90s when Coach Sanderson was still at Alabama and we had Arkansas came in the league. Coach, you remember that first year?
Yeah.
Because I think you all beat Arkansas in that semifinal in Birmingham. And that was the first time that any other fan base had come and kind of challenged Kentucky. I remember it so vividly. When the Arkansas team came in the arena, they started calling the Hogs, and all the other fan base said, "Yeah, Kentucky, you all got some company this year," But it disappoints me with Vanderbilt and Tennessee as well. I mean, Tennessee had a pretty good contingent with their team, but Vanderbilt doesn't. I mean, they're right there in Nashville, and they don't really come out. And they had a lot to play for this weekend. Matter of fact, that's the other team I forgot about that was disappointing this weekend too. So I think a lot of it is, all these fan bases in the SEC, they spend all their money traveling with the football team, and by the time basketball comes around, they're probably out of money, to be honest.
Joe, South Carolina didn't get in, which was surprising to me. I think and I blame a little bit all the other SEC teams. They don't have a lot of chances to get a lot of quality wins within the league because a lot of the teams are so poor. But they did beat Tulsa. They won at Texas A&M. They beat Vanderbilt. And they'll say, well, they didn't have enough top 50 wins. They didn't challenge themselves enough out of conference. I just really felt like they should be in the tournament, even over Vanderbilt. They beat them head-to-head. They were the number 3 seed, lost to Georgia, where Vanderbilt loses to a Tennessee team. I just want to get your take on South Carolina. Do you think that was the right thing to do to leave them out of the field?
Well, obviously I don't. I was very disappointed that they didn't get in. And I don't. Well, yeah, I guess I kind of understand it. When you look at the other teams that they put on the screen last night, the last 4 in, the first 4 out, and the RPIs and all of that, and you could kind of see the reason. But for my money, I mean, South Carolina finishes basically same record in the league as Vanderbilt. They won 24 games overall, and just had a tremendous year. I was disappointed they didn't get in. I was surprised Vandy got in, but. It's tough. It's a tough year right now. We had a lot of teams that were right there on the verge and just could not finish the season strong. And so here we are where we are, and it's an issue that we need to continue to look at and talk about as a conference as to how can we get our programs up there where we're, having more teams in the top 25, getting more teams in the NCAA tournament, creating more of a fan base, and it's just a work in progress. That's all I can say.
Well, you'll have the commissioner the other day, and I think he's a he's a basketball guy. I think he's a good man towards basketball, and I think I just wish I could be there. But I think when you have a conference that somewhere in the league in the conference they tried to make the teams increase the toughness of their schedule, and in some cases they did. Yet we only got 3 in this time, and barely did that. There's only one answer. And the answer is for each basketball program to put some money into their program and recruit their fannies off and play a decent schedule and win. So, you've got to go back and recruit and win some games is the first way to get the thing back to where we used to have, 5 at times. And, I heard Joe Lunardi say, and I didn't much agree to this. It's not the conferences, it's the teams.
Yeah.
And I always thought, well, I don't know about that. The SEC's the SEC. They'll get 5 in because they're one of the Power 5 conferences. But basically, I guess it's not the conferences. I guess it is the teams.
Well, it is. I mean, it's definitely the teams, and of course, the teams are a part of the conference, and the conference has got to, as you say, recruit better players, and I think we've got to market the league better, or maybe differently. I think we really need.
We need you.
Well, I don't know about that, but I think we got to think outside the box. I mean, we might need to hire some high-profile marketing company to come in and give us some new ideas on how we create interest in basketball in November and December. I know that's hard with football still going. I get it, but we still have to try, because I think we're losing a lot of really good players out of the Southeast that look around and say, I don't want to go to Georgia or Alabama or Mississippi State. They're football schools. I want to go to Michigan State and, Clemson and wherever, because they're all basketball. And I think there's something to be said about that. And,
sure it is.
Every game is on TV now, so these kids get to watch all these teams from around the country and playing in sellout buildings, and it has an effect on these kids. And they're, I hate to say this, they're AAU coaches. It's sad we don't say they're high school coaches as much anymore, but that's just the way it is.
Right.
Well, Joe, as we look at, we turn attention to the NCAA tournament with Kentucky, with their backcourt with Ulis and Murray. I thought Murray should have been freshman of the year. I think Ulis should be up for player of the year in the country. I've never seen one guy kind of control his team like those two. Just talk about the 3 teams from the SEC that did make the tournament and what kind of run you think they can make.
Well, Kentucky, I think, can make the Final Four. I really do. I think they're playing as well right now as they played all year. And when you look around the country, they're as good as anybody. I mean, Kansas is the number 1 pick in the tournament, and Kentucky back on January 30th went to Kansas, Allen Fieldhouse, where they've lost 11 times in the last 12 years, and took them to overtime and could have beaten them. So that's an indication of how well Kentucky's come on. That's the early part of the year. Tyler Ulis, if I had a vote, he would be the national player of the year. I know there's some other good guys out there, but this kid's unbelievable. I mean, he is just unbelievable, the things he can do on the floor, how he just totally controls the game for his team. And he's 5'9". He's a little bitty, And so anyway, and Murray's a great player too. And so I like Kentucky's chance. A&M, I think, has a really good team. I love their 4 seniors. I love that big kid inside. I thought he was a warrior yesterday. Yeah. I mean, God, he's a man in there. And so I think they got a chance to get maybe Sweet 16, I hope. And then the Vandy, I mean, what a great matchup on Tuesday night, tomorrow night, in the first 4 group. They play Wichita. That's going to be a heck of a game.
Well, when I look at it and try to study it, as I've always done, I just think Kansas got screwed. I mean, that's no doubt that the South is much more difficult than any of the other 3 regions, in my opinion. And sure somebody else other people don't agree, but I think the South is brutal. Will be an interesting game. I think Kentucky and Indiana in the East, and but a lot of argument about Virginia and and Michigan State. Being one and one being two. A lot of people thought Michigan State would be one. I don't think it really matters that much. I think both those teams can advance pretty well.
Well, what matters is where you put what twos that you put in the same bracket with the ones, and
sure.
And, now I don't have the thing in front of me. Who's the number 2 in the Kansas bracket? Is that Michigan State?
Villanova.
Villanova, okay. And Michigan State, where are they?
Michigan State is in the Midwest, and there too.
Virginia's the one. Michigan State.
Virginia's the one. Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with you on the South as being the toughest group, and Oregon. I was real surprised Oregon slipped in as a 1. To me, that was almost like they wanted to throw the Pac-12 a bone. That's kind of what I thought when I saw Oregon as the number 1. And I'll tell you, a good second-round matchup, which would be a lot of fun in Oklahoma City, is Texas A&M and Texas could be playing in the second round, so that'll be fun as well.
Well, that'll be fun, and I hope Kentucky and Indiana both win. That'll be a second-round matchup. They've stopped playing, so I think that'll be a highly contested game there with Kentucky and Indiana.
You go down through this thing, and you look at Kansas, and then you got to play the winner of Colorado, Connecticut, and you got Maryland in there, and California, they've done a night. You got Arizona, you got Miami, who's second in ACC. You got Iowa, who's struggling a little bit right now. And then you got Villanova. That's a booger bear to me. I don't know.
It's definitely a booger bear, and I don't like booger bears.
And I'll tell you, every time I got one of them cotton picking, I got 8 and 9 always. I had them. One time we got a 2, but the rest of the time we was either 7, 10, or 8 and 9.
What were you in '87, Coach? What number?
2.
You were 2, yeah, because I thought you could. You had the team that year to go all the way, and so buzzsaw with Providence.
That's the most disappointing day of my life.
I was actually at the game that night in Freedom Hall. I remember it. It was a great game.
Yeah, I got to go to Louisville today. I don't even want to go.
Joe, do you think? Would you like to see the SEC go back to the divisions? We talked to Rick Stansberry about it. I personally do, just because I think it helps the rivalries. I think you could. To me, it would probably help me schedule a little bit. I could look at my division. I know I've got so many games there, and I can probably tell how good these teams maybe could be, so I'd know how hard to maybe challenge myself on the outside. Are you not for that, for the division?
Well, I don't have, honestly, Barry, I don't have strong feelings either way. I understand both sides. I think if you were going to go back divisions, the reason would be for scheduling, obviously, and create those, those geographic rivalries. So that, I think that makes sense. But I think when you get to the tournament, you would need to group them 1 through 14, because I don't think, a divisional winner that doesn't have a better record than a team on the other side deserves to, get that first 4 bye, if you know what I'm saying. So I think if they could kind of have the best of both, then I would be in favor of that.
Yeah. Anything else you think the SEC can do? I hear what you're saying about the importance of these November and December games. They seem not to win those games, so it seems to affect their RPIs going into the league. And there's so many bad teams right now, but it's still hard. I don't care how bad Missouri is. It's still hard to go to Missouri and win. But when you go there and you lose, you just get penalized so bad. What else can happen with these SEC teams?
I'm going to tell you, and Coach Sanderson made an interesting comment over there a minute ago about we got to get out and recruit better players. That's how you win games, and that's as simple as it is, really. If I was an AD of the school, and when in football, for example, I'm telling my head coach, I want you to hire the 2 best coordinators you can find, offense and defense. We'll pay them top dollar. And of course, the SEC can do that, because those 2 guys are probably the most critical positions in the football thing. Same thing with basketball. I think that maybe we need to look a little harder at our staffs on these, not the head coaches. I'm talking about the assistants. I see a lot of young suits over there on that sideline. And of course, I'm out of the loop now. I don't know any of those guys anymore. And I just wonder to myself, where are the Art Tolases of the world? Where are the, the guys, Coach, I'm talking about, all the old guys that used to really be able to get out there and evaluate them and get them and bring them in. And of course, I know it's a new day. I understand all that, but I just wonder. I think that'd be the thing I would do with a head coach at that level. I'd say, I want you to tell me who you're going to hire. We're going to vet these guys, and I want you to go get the 2 best recruiters you can find in America. We'll pay them. Don't hire your best friend. Don't hire your best friend. We're going to hire great recruiters.
Oh, I agree with you 150%.
You know, that's like I thought Billy Kennedy made a great move hiring Rick Stansberry. You know, he just knows.
There you go.
He knows.
He hires Rick Stansberry. What happens? They have a top 5 recruiting class. I mean, look at those kids they brought in. They're really good.
Every time that Nick Saban named a coach this year, and he changed 4 or 5, he said when you looked at it and studied it, his best thing he did was recruit.
No question. I've told you the story before when Dad interviewed him way back, for the LSU job.
Yeah, tell it again.
Who are you going to bring in for offensive defensive coordinators? And he said, I'm going to bring in Jimbo Fisher and John Thompson as my defensive guy. And Dad said, well, you know these guys real well? He said, I've never met either one of them. I just know they're great coaches.
And I didn't like playing against them.
That's right.
Well, I tell that all the time. You know, I was out recruiting. I'd be late at night down in the gym, and you'd have Rick Stansberry on one wall and Tim Floyd standing on the other, and you knew you were in the right gym.
Hey, Joe.
That's exactly right.
Hey, Joe, I had a vacancy. The reason I'm telling you this because you know him. So I decided I was going to hire Eddie Oren from Texas.
Yeah.
So I called Eddie, and Eddie, I don't know. Yeah, I kind of want to, you know, and he just kind of beat around the bush. And so a few years go by, and I got another vacancy, and I decided I want to hire Greg Polinsky.
Yeah.
Well, I called out to Texas, and I'd studied Greg a lot, and Eddie answered the phone. I said, Eddie, I got a vacancy on my staff, but I don't want to speak to you. I want to speak to Greg. He said, yeah, you go call. I said, I couldn't find Greg's phone number. Would you mind putting Greg on for me?
I love it. Well, you hired a good one because I tell you, he got you some players. No doubt about it. Yes, sir. All right, guys. Hey, I got to run.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Joe.
Bye.